play, business or pleasure, the Best Western Plus is the place to stay. Conveniently located minutes from the airport and across the street from the Mall of America, it's the perfect place to relax. Whether you enjoy the pool, the great continental breakfast, or dine at Red Rosa Restaurant located in a hotel, it will be an experience you do again and again. Let Mark Olson and the friendly and courteous staff assist you with all your needs. Airport shuttle is available. Make the right choice. The choice of the Sports Underground, and choose the Best Western Plus Mall of America, Bloomington, Minnesota. Once again, Sports Underground is back. I'm Kent, that's Mike, and we're here to talk a little more sports with you, get a little more feedback from you guys out there. So keep the information coming, keep the comments coming, and we're still trying to make things a little better for you every time we go along. So welcome back. It's been a while since we've done this.
It has been. It feels good to be back, doesn't it?
It does. I think as we go along today, some of the things we've already talked about that we have on video are things that people in the mainstream are kind of coming to see our way. The biggest thing being Matt Khalil. I think we sat here over a month ago and said, don't screw this up, make sure you get us a tackle. And lo and behold, the guy works out like a champ, and now everyone and their brother thinks that he's the guy we should get.
Well, I think so too, absolutely. You can't lose on a guy like that. We talked about that before, how a safe pick as a tackle or an offensive lineman drafted that high. Some concerns that I have is that maybe we'll reach or trade back, maybe get a guy like Blackman. And get a receiver like that, unless you're going to draft Andre Johnson or Calvin Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald. I wouldn't take a receiver in the top 10. He doesn't seem that safe to me. Does he seem that safe to you?
No, he doesn't. And you have the speculation that the Rams pretty much have the second pick traded already. So the RG3 thing is gone. And I think that takes away a little bit of the nervousness that the Vikings could trade back and screw this up somehow. Because I don't think there's any trade partners now, which is a good thing. You know, the Rams are obviously, I think, setting themselves up. They're going to trade back to probably 4 with Cleveland, the kind of way it looks. And they're looking to get Blackman. So let's not screw up their plans. Let's just take Khalil. Lots of receivers in free agency. And as I was watching some NFL Network earlier, they were showing some stuff from the Combine where Michael Floyd, who may be a late first-round pick, early second-round, for 220 pounds, he ran a 4.5 40, and he's at his playing weight at the Combine. A lot of guys lose a lot of weight and try and put up better numbers. He's at his playing weight, caught everything in sight, ran a good 40. Looking for a receiver, you could target a guy like that early second round. If you had to trade a pick, we have 10 picks, I guess, if we get the compensatory picks from Ray Edwards going to the Falcons last year. So you could trade a lower pick, maybe move up a little bit, and then you've got a receiver. Besides what you can do in free agency, I do believe that Khalil is the guy. 10-year starter at tackle. Why would you complain about that?
Well, recapping all the things you just said and stole my thunder, obviously St. Louis in the catbird seat, they have the most to gain out of this draft, I think. I don't think they have an immediate need at the tackle position right away.
No, they've drafted tackles the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think their offensive line at least has some talent there to base on. They have the quarterback they need. They do have some pieces they're missing, of course. They're obviously not that good right now, but you know, they can build in other areas. So I think they're in the catbird seat. They definitely have the advantage over the Vikings for the trade speculation. So obviously, whoever trades up to that spot, and I think it's going to happen. That's what all the indications are right now, that trade is going to happen with somebody. So they trade. Obviously, number one is Luck, who they're putting in the Hall of Fame, I believe.
I think you're right. I think they've already got his bus made.
I don't necessarily get it because I mean, you see a quarterback like this every year come out, but apparently he's something special. Anyway, number 2 obviously is RG3. So number 3 falls to us, which, in my opinion, if you're the Vikings, the most important need on this team has got to be punter.
Yeah, well, he gets the most work.
Right.
And he's the only guy that can change field position for you because the offense sure can't.
Exactly. So I think you say checkmate.
Yeah.
We draft a punter at number 3. Anyway, just kidding.
Well, Ray Guy was a first-round punter. Is there a Ray Guy in this draft? Have you broken down the punters?
I will later. Stay tuned. But yeah, as far as trading down for the Vikings, I hope not. I hope they just take Khalil, stick with that pick. He's obviously top 3 talent, if not top 2. And it's a position of need for the Vikings. Don't screw it up. You know, we got to explore if we do trade down and try to get cute and outsmart ourselves.
Right.
We have to explore that option too. Again, with the Michael Floyd, last year I think if he would have came out, he would have been a solid top 10 pick. Am I wrong?
He might have been. He did have the off-field drinking issues. You know, he's had a few of them. But yeah, hopefully the maturity. It's hard to believe, and this kind of goes back to the Jake Locker thing last year too. Hard to believe where 1 year everything on paper is great. They're the best thing ever. Best receiver, Floyd in the draft. And all of a sudden this year, you're talking late 20s. Now, last year they thought Locker was going to fall like that. He did go in the top 10 like he should have 2 years ago. Things have a habit of working themselves out. And so I would assume he's a mid first round pick. But the NFL is so weird. They base so much stuff on this combine. And I was watching for about an hour today. And there was 15 guys I have never heard of in my life that all of a sudden are the next greatest thing at their positions. See Troy Williamson on this one.
Sure.
And there's got to be something for the work on the field. Michael Floyd was productive, caught a lot of touchdowns, caught a lot of yards, didn't drop passes, and now he does good at the combine. I think you need a little bit of both.
But there's always guys that kind of jump themselves into the first round, or, you know, even if you say early second round, you know, those guys that move up. And of course, the Packers draft and turn them into Pro Bowlers.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as Michael Floyd goes, I would be ecstatic if the Vikings got him. However, I don't see him as the kind of guy who's going to stretch the field, the guy that we need. I see him as sort of a hybrid Percy Harvin, like we already have. Like
Across the middle of the field kind of guy.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
Think Percy Harvin crossed with like Jenkins.
Yeah.
It's just kind of odd that he's not the receiver exactly that we're looking for. I don't know if he has the speed or the height, or I just don't feel that. You know what I mean?
Right. But the thing is, now I'm not going to get into drafting for need things. We don't, or we do that, but we don't do that. I don't know how we always seem to fit that into whatever we do.
We don't do that well.
Well, that's probably what I'm looking for. But we need so much help that obviously he's a playmaker. Anything you get around Ponder would be good. Now, with free agent receivers out there, do I think we can fill that need in free agency? Yes, and I would hope we would. So going to the draft, we're looking for cornerbacks from pick 2 to probably pick 8. I mean, we can't get enough defensive backs in this draft. It's deep with defensive tackles. Obviously, we saw the fall off of Kevin Williams last year. No Pat Williams. Remy Adele, it was nice knowing you for a year. You can go away. We could use something to fill that hole. Middle linebacker, I don't think EJ's coming back. They say that Jasper Brinkley's going to fill that spot. I don't remember my favorite Jasper Brinkley moment.
Does that scare the hell out of you?
Yeah, kind of. And not that EJ is top-end talent, but I'm comfortable with him doing his job. And he's not going to be spectacular. He's not as fast as he was before he broke his leg. But at least he'll be in the right spot.
That's what I was going to say. I think he'll be in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're so bad that it doesn't even matter, really.
And you're probably right about that.
I mean, does it matter who we plug in there? You know, I just...
Well, we were going to do a big cap breakdown show, but instead of boring you with the details and the numbers, we had it all worked out basically to the dollar. But there's some guys in this team that have to go away. You look at Hutchinson, he's probably the first person, unless he wants to take a pay cut. We can't afford to pay an aging guard $7 million on a team that shouldn't have a $7 million player on it that's not named Adrian Peterson right now. You have Kevin Williams, $6 million plus, I believe he's making. He could go. Antoine Winfield at 5, Cedric Griffin at 4. There's a lot of money being paid to either old or not as good as we used to be players. In Griffin's case, not his fault due to injuries. Herrera making $2.5 million and probably going to be a backup guard if we draft Khalil. That guy can go.
Well, let's say hypothetically, maybe we move Jared Allen. I don't want to, but you know the guy's wasting away here. We're not going to be any good. We need to surround him with talent as well. If we move a guy like that, that might save us a few more dollars, just a hypothetical.
Well, and if you don't move him, even before we get rid of the guys we just talked about, Peterson is making a boatload of $12 million. Allen's making $10 million. Chad Greenway is making $8 million. There's a lot of money tied up in 3 guys. Whether we're good or not, we still have to pay those guys. And you better get this cap thing under control, because look what it got you last year with the rest of these guys. Bite the bullet. Sign some cheap free agents. If you move Winfield and you move Cedric Griffin, Tracy Porter's out there. There's got to be a safety, another middle of the road cornerback that could start for you. Just that money alone, swapping that out, you can definitely get Porter and somebody else. You cut Hutchinson's money. You can go get Hicks from the Saints, because right now Bree's in a contract dispute. He might be the franchise player, and those linemen might be able to get out of there without getting franchised. You could use his money to move 6 years younger, plus get the production you've been getting out of Hutchins for the last few years.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of moves to be made in free agency, but they got to be smart about it. I mean, what's the draw to playing here right now? Why would you choose to play here, maybe take a few bucks less and go play somewhere else, like a San Diego? Hey, it's warmer, the girls are hotter, and you got a chance at actually going somewhere in the playoffs, because we're a nobody team right now.
Well, right, and so let's say, we'll use this for an example, Vincent Jackson, 29 years old. Let's say you sign into a contract. It's going to have to be 4 or 5 years in order to get him to come here. It's going to have to be for big money. Okay, so you get him, he says, yep, I'll come play in the Dome or whatever your stadium you're building. I'm here. By the time we're good, is there a use for Vincent Jackson? Is there a reason to pay a high-end receiver like that much money when we could win 6 games next year?
No.
We're not going to win 10.
No, that's a tough call to put all your eggs in one basket until, and maybe time to chip it away and getting the players like the Michael Jenkins we got, this year, and getting a few more pieces for lesser dollar amounts and just kind of muddling away like that. We got to build through the draft.
No,
we really do.
Right.
I mean, that's the way it goes, and just this RG3 thing. Christian Ponder might prove to be a good quarterback, but what scares me, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what scares me, and I'm not saying RG3 might be. He could be, but I'll tell you what, the franchise quarterback is so key.
Well, it is. I mean, it's a passing league, so if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going anywhere. Look what the best running back in football's got us for the last 5 years. A total of, how many playoff wins do we have? Yeah, exactly. So, the problem, and we've talked about this a little bit before, is that we took a quarterback last year because we thought we had to have one. Now, this year, we would be in a position to, if the scouts are right and the buzz is right, get one of the most phenomenal athletes to come out in the draft since Michael Vick. Mm-hmm. RG3. So, once again, taking what was there last year, a lineman, offensively, a defensive lineman, a cornerback, just being smart, taking the best player there, and now getting our quarterback, would we be better off? If the scouts are right, Griffin is leaps and bounds ahead of what Ponder is.
Well, I'm very surprised that our scouting department didn't see the future. Like, you can't just draft this year. You gotta start thinking about your draft in 2013, 14, 15, and seeing where, okay, Kevin Williams is going to be here, so maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but the year after, we're going to have to get a defensive tackle.
Well, of course, they thought we were going to be in the playoffs, too. So they assumed we'd be picking 25th through 30th. God forbid we were going to pick third. That's...
You can't tell me that they actually thought. I know they did. We talked about it before. I know they did. But realistically, deep down, to think that this team is going to make the playoffs at any point last year was asinine.
It was. But I'm just telling you, when you say they don't plan for the future, it's because of things like that. Somehow they got it in their thick skulls they were going to be good. Obviously they weren't. And now, like you say, we have no plan. Instead, I think they thought that taking Ponder was a luxury last year. Oh, we're going to be good. We can get away with taking our quarterback there. Well, you look at your roster now, you really could have used Nick Fairley. You could have used any of those offensive linemen to fill that spot. And now, when you have a chance to get a franchise quarterback, this was your year to get it. And we talked about being in the Lux sweepstakes way before the draft last year, and we weren't that far off of it. And could have we tanked a game or two to get there? Well, what would have it mattered? And I know it's been written in the papers lately, that Washington win is really coming back
really
to haunt us.
Important. Really
because
important.
The Rams are going to clean up with draft picks off this trade. They are going to hold people ransom, and people are going to make that trade. Peyton Manning's really the only other guy out there that can fix your team, and who knows if he can or not. Right. But it's him, and it's now RG3. That's your two fixes. And there's, 5 or 6 teams that I can think off the top of my head that want quarterbacks. There's going to be a bidding war like we haven't seen in a few years for a high draft pick.
And I'm worried that Christian Ponder is going to turn out to be Rex Grossman or something like that.
Rex Grossman at least got to a Super Bowl. I don't even know if he'll be that good.
Okay. All right. And maybe I'm giving Christian Ponder too much credit. I don't know. But you know what I mean? But I don't feel like he's going to lead us anywhere. I don't think he's going to be our answer. Is that too early to tell? Am I being too rough on the guy, perhaps?
In his
don't
defense,
you get that feeling a little bit, though?
I do, because he started off great when he wasn't thinking. Then once he started trying to figure stuff out, it got bad. Yeah. That's what worried me. But in his defense, he was running for his life. We couldn't keep him upright. let's get Khalil in here. If, anyone that knows anything about football will tell you, build from the out or the inside out. Look at Detroit for years. We mentioned this before. Running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, pick them all. When they finally started getting good, when they started getting their line together.
Yeah, exactly.
So get Khalil, get Charlie Johnson inside, maybe get a replacement for Hutchinson, get a little bit of solidarity there.
Yep.
And then, not this year, maybe next year, you can see a little progress with Ponder. But keep him on his feet and see what the kid can do.
Well, yeah, and we do have to give him a chance. We do have to give him a couple of years here. But, I read an interesting article in the paper how Jacksonville drafted Byron Leftwich, and therefore that allowed them to pass on Ben Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers because they had their quarterback.
Right.
And I'm afraid we're going to do the same thing. I mean, look, what's the last franchise quarterback to change hands, to sign as a free agent? I thought about it. It's got to be Drew Brees, but when he signed with the Saints, he wasn't the Drew Brees that we know now.
No, he was pretty good, but no one saw this coming.
He was up and coming, but
Yeah,
he certainly wasn't the Drew Brees we think of today. That's the last time I can think of a franchise quarterback signing somewhere else, and I'm not going to count Brett Favre because I think he was a little bit old.
Right, but no, you're right. Every time someone makes that move, it's for a guy, it's a Matt Flynn guy. Had a couple of good games,
Yeah.
we get really high on him, and all of a sudden you've got Scott Mitchell on your hands.
Or Matt Schaub.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Schaub's okay.
He's okay.
But he wasn't. But yeah, you're right. He had his 2 minutes of glory, worked it out. Sure, he gets injured a lot, but he's a pretty high-end example of. I mean, if we could get that, I would take a Matt Schaub.
I'd be happy with that.
But
I'm just saying,
I
you have
agree.
to draft that quarterback. You're not going to get handed that quarterback.
No, you're right about that.
So I'm just saying, if it came down to it, we ended up with RG3 in this draft, maybe it's all right. You know what I mean? I know. I want that Khalil too. But
Well, the thing is that unfortunately we're going to be bad. We're going to have a chance to draft a franchise quarterback for a few years.
I think you're right.
If Hunter doesn't work out, we're going to be picking top 7 at the worst, I think, for the next few years. And the thing that really sucks is that in the NFL, you can turn your team around in a hurry. I just don't think that we have the brain trust.
no, I don't have the faith in the management to do that.
No.
The ownership has other agendas. The GM that we just hired is the same guy that's been here. Is it 4 or 5 years now, or more? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think so. At least ever since Fran Foley got cut.
I was going to say 07. I think he got hired, but what is it? It hasn't really brought us anywhere.
Well,
it hasn't really advanced us anywhere.
We've talked before about the fact that this ownership group just makes decisions, jumps in, doesn't think about stuff. Now, we talked about their agenda being they're more worried about the stadium, getting this thing built to make money for themselves. They are handling this stadium situation just like they hire coaches and just like they hire general managers. Oh, you want to build me a stadium over here today? I'll take it. Oh, wait, that one didn't work out? Arden Hills? Yeah, let's go to Arden Hills. Oh, we're back downtown. They want something. They don't care if it's the right thing or not. They just want something.
Right.
Just like a GM. Oh, someone said we get a GM. Let's go get a GM. This whole organization is just, it's run by buffoons right now.
It's flawed. It is very flawed. I agree. And I think before you see the Vikings move to LA, I'm not really worried about that. Before you see them to move to LA, I think you'd see the Wilfs sell the team. I don't think they're into the NFL thing. To be in the NFL, to be NFL owners, to be football owners, they're in it to
Develop, make some money.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Right.
And a side note, I'll tell you this too. I'm a little happy that Indianapolis got that first pick to get Andrew Luck, because I think he's going to keep that franchise in Indianapolis for the future to come. I don't like to see teams move.
Well, they did just build a new stadium, so whether he was there or not, I don't think Lucas Oil Stadium was going away. I think they were going to be there.
No,
for a
that's
while.
true. But I'm just saying, could he have maybe saved that franchise 15 years from now?
Yeah, possibly.
You know what I mean? Because you replace Peyton Manning with Andrew Luck, maybe that momentum keeps going.
Well,
but I'm just saying,
right.
if without Andrew Luck in that town,
No, I agree.
let's say
Andrew Luck works out. Let's say he is the next big deal. Think about this. In the last couple of years now, we have seen legendary quarterback Brett Favre. The Packers couldn't find a quarterback for 20 years before him. All of a sudden, after he leaves, they get Aaron Rodgers. The Colts, they had a quarterback for years since Burt Jones and Johnny Unitas before him. And now all of a sudden, Manning leaves, and here comes Luck. Kind of crazy how, the Vikings have been looking for a franchise quarterback forever. I mean, Fran Tarkenton, is he the last guy you could, I guess we had Warren Moon. You consider him a franchise quarterback. But kind of weird how two teams with two of the best quarterbacks that have ever played the position, they're smart. In Indianapolis' case, they got lucky because, they won the lottery basically. But the Packers were smart, snatched Rodgers on a free fall, and That's what wins you games is quarterbacks. And the Colts are going to be good in 5 years again.
Who's Burt Jones?
You don't know who Burt Jones is?
No.